When I sold the hardware store, the new owner asked me if I wanted to keep anything. I'd spent 41 years behind that counter. Every shelf, every bin, every creaking floorboard was as familiar to me as my own hands. I could have taken inventory in my sleep. I probably did, some nights. I told him I wanted the bell. The little brass bell above the front door that rang every time someone came in. He looked at me like I'd asked for the strangest possible thing, which I had. He took down the bell and handed it to me in a paper bag. That bell rang for 41 years. My father installed it in 1984, the year he opened the store. I took over in 1997 when his back gave out. He kept coming every morning anyway, sitting in the chair by the register, pretending to read the paper but listening for the bell. Every time it rang, he'd look up. The bell meant a customer, and a customer meant the store was alive. He died in 2006. I kept the chair. I kept the bell. I kept the store open for another 19 years, which is either stubbornness or loyalty or the inability to tell the difference between the two. Running a hardware store in a small Ohio town while big box stores multiply around you is an exercise in creative denial. Every year the numbers got worse. Every year I found a reason to stay. The regulars needed me. I knew which toggle bolt worked for plaster walls and which one would pull out. The truth is, the town needed a hardware store and I needed to be needed. And for a long time those two needs held each other up like drunk friends walking home. But towns change. The factory closed in 2012 and half the young people left. The housing boom never reached us. The contractors retired or drove to the city for cheaper supplies. My regulars aged, and their houses aged with them, and eventually both stopped needing repairs. I held on until I couldn't. I sold the store last spring to a man who wants to turn it into a coffee shop, which is what small towns become when they stop building things. I'm not bitter. Bitter takes energy I'd rather spend on my garden. The bell sits on my kitchen windowsill now. I don't ring it. I just look at it sometimes while I drink my coffee in the morning, the way my father used to look up from his paper every time it sounded. It's quiet. Brass doesn't ring by itself. It needs a door and a customer and a reason. A few weeks after I closed, a man came to my house. He was maybe 40, wearing work clothes, paint on his boots. He said his name was Kevin, and he'd been coming to my store since he was a kid. He said his father used to bring him in on Saturday mornings, and I'd let him play with the display tools while his dad shopped. I remembered. Not Kevin specifically, but the type. There were always kids like that. Boys and girls who'd wander the aisles and touch everything and ask what things were for. I'd explain. This is a level. This is a plumb bob. This is a pipe wrench, and if you hold it wrong it'll take your knuckle off, so hold it right. Kevin said he became a contractor because of those Saturday mornings. He said the store was where he first understood that tools were how people took care of things, their homes, their families, their pride. He said he'd driven an hour to tell me that because he didn't want me to close up without knowing. I stood on my porch and shook his hand and tried to say something meaningful, but all that came out was, "Thank you for coming in." Which is what I said to every customer for 41 years, so maybe that's meaningful enough. The bell is still on the windowsill. The store is being gutted for the coffee shop. My father's chair is in my living room. Some mornings I sit in it and listen for a sound that isn't coming, and that's okay. The bell rang for 41 years. 41 years of doors opening and people coming in and a small brass voice saying someone's here, someone's here, someone's here. That's enough ringing for one life.